that ending hit me like a freaking truck. Like, it hurts. It hurts seeing Saros, Eris's grandpa, just dying like that, and dying because of some scum noble just wanting to probably get power and just have a scapegoat to be able to just say, oh, we did something. It's just, it's sad. It's unfortunate because I really loved the character, and to just see that he's gone like that, it's just, like I said, it's just sad. It made me very emotional. That ending definitely is going to lead to some probably darker times and great character development for Eris. Once again, it cannot be stated enough. The artwork of this series just pops. It is something that just constantly catches my eye, and even scenes that should not have as good of backgrounds as it does, has good backgrounds. And you can always find just beautiful, eye-catching, eye-candy artwork behind the scenes when you see our characters moving around, and that is one of the big draws I've always had to Mushoku Tensei and the immersion. And since I'm on the topic of immersion, there is something that does need to be mentioned. I feel like not a lot of people really take the time to actually analyze and think about how much effort this studio is putting in to this series. The opening song. We praise ReZero. We always have praised ReZero for how it skips its opening song, skips its ending song, and it puts like a 30-minute runtime episode, which is impressive to say the least. But we cannot deny that Mushoku Tensei is getting something similar in terms of love and passion, because they're still using their opening song, but they don't actually have dedicated visuals to the said opening song. It's literally them playing the song over individual scenes. And I have talked about this many times in the past, don't get me wrong, but when you see this episode's opening sequence after Rudy talks about, how he's in a prison cell, and you just see the entire lifestyle of all these, I guess, beast-like race, it really makes you understand their culture, their lifestyle, and just these few images alone of getting to see how they live in the trees, how the bridges are constructed, to also seeing how there's farmland and agriculture on the bottom to show that they're self-sufficient. It's the little things like that that really add extra layers to the episode and allow you to understand that this culture is thriving. Even if they are living in the wilderness, they're living in the trees kind of like elves or something, they are still able to live on their own without worry probably of outside things. For instance, they don't need to venture out and probably get their own stuff because they have everything around them. The culture to the overall environment, everything can probably support them, and they have probably lived a very peaceful life for a very, very long time, for many, many generations. So just the opening sequence in general is a perfect way to establish the beast race with no words, no dialogue, visuals alone, and you get everything you need if you really pay attention to it. I love that, and that is one of the best defining factors of Mushoku Tensei, and I've said it so much, and I will keep saying it week after week. That is just why this series continues to impress me, and why every episode continues to one-up itself. And I'm like, this is easily the best episode of the series. And then the next episode comes out, and I'm like, this is easily the best episode of the series. And that's how I always feel about this series. Every time a new episode comes out, I'm like, it's getting better and better. It never stops to impress me in terms of just the quality that is shoved into this series. But enough gushing about that. Let's actually talk about some of the fundamental things that happen within this episode that needs to be discussed. The opening sequence before the opening song, Rudy's entire assessment of his prison cell is actually outright hilarious. I love how he's like, it's a rent-free house, it's beautiful and all that, it has good security, you have this weird, I guess, restroom area, but overall, it's a good place. It's free, but it's also a prison, and just that entire sequence is pretty humorous. I'm not gonna lie. I got a good chuckle. That's definitely not gonna be for everyone that's seen, and not everybody's gonna get a chuckle or a laugh or a smile, but I know for a fact I did, and I love that scene. Comedy's subjective, but that comedy hit me right in the gut, and I got a good laugh. Which, if we're getting into the fact of comedy, one of the funniest scenes of this episode is when we're introduced to this new character that's kind of like a monkey-like type-faced character, and he actually, looks at Rudy as like the boss. And when he is first first introduced to Rudy, Rudy is literally laying completely just butt naked on the bed, acting all smug, and he looking like he's doing like a Buddha pose or something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, is this legitimately happening right now in this scene? And I laugh because just like the whole moment of it was just like, how could you lay there, butt naked, and just act like you're all high and mighty, like a god or something. And this guy, it's the first time you're meeting this guy, you don't even know what he is, because for all you know, he could be a murderer or something, but Rudy had, no idea, but he still acts like that. That entire scene is outright funny, hilarious, and like I said, I believe that is a reference to Buddha. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments below. But I believe that is a reference to it. But anyways, let's actually talk about our new character. So this new character that is introduced, I don't know if he is a throwaway character or if he is going to be a reoccurring character, because you don't really know with Mushoku Tensei. I mean, we have seen a lot of characters be introduced, and our characters go their own separate ways. They have their own journey, their own destiny to kind of go down. I mean, when we think about, like, the Demon Empress that we met 2 episodes ago, many might have considered that maybe she would stick around with the party and stay with them, but she obviously left to do her own thing, and so that character that could have potentially added a lot of different life and a different vibe to Dead End's group, she left. And it makes me wonder if this character that was introduced is going to take a similar route. Like, he's going to, go his own path after the events with the Beast Race, and he's going to do his own thing, or if he's going to say, hey, can I join you guys in Dead End? Can I travel with you? I don't know, and I really do hope the character does actually journey with Rudy and all of them, because it's like, his character, his personality would definitely fit. When I take a hard look at his character and analyze him for what he is from what we got from this latest episode, he seems to be a guy that obviously is willing to do things to survive, but at the same time, he seems to have a level of honor, that he is willing to respect people and not go down too disgusting a path to achieve what he wants, because he was willing to risk his own life to help out the Beast Race and save them. And I mean, he even questioned Rudy when Rudy looked like he was going to turn his back on the Beast Race. He's like, are you really okay with this? Is this really fine? And it's just his entire character demeanor, the way he acts, it shows that he is kind of like a fool, but at the same time, he is someone that you can respect and admire, because he is someone that is good-hearted and deep within his core. So I like the character, and I feel like he would perfectly mesh with, let's say, Rudy, Eris, and all of them. I feel like he would be the perfect character, because it doesn't seem like he's overly powerful, and it would be a nice contrast to our group of strong characters in Dead End already, and him being kind of like on a lower end. I'm excited to see, especially some of his antics. And I mean, let's be honest, sometimes a weak character can be very enjoyable, because it's fascinating to see how they overcome the obstacles and challenges that are thrown in front of them. But let's actually talk about other things, and that is Rudy and his nature of character. So we've known for a while now, and I've covered myself, that Rudy, he obviously doesn't like death and killing, which makes perfect sense. He comes from another world, and the morals of his original world are a lot different than the fantasy world he's in. In this fantasy world, death and killing, it's common nature. Just people get themselves a slice of, let's say, bread or whatever, and they'll eat it, and then they'll just stab someone on the side, and they'll just not even look back at it. Rudy is not like that, because, once again, he comes from a modern society that has kind of moved past that type of stuff, and him seeing death and killing like it is, it's not something you're just gonna, get over. It's not something that you're gonna be okay with instantly, even if you see a few people die around you. And this episode kind of dives a little bit more into that aspect of how Rudy isn't okay with killing, he isn't okay with death and all that, but at the same time, he isn't a good person either. He does have some darker sides to him, which we've known for a while, but he's willing to allow people to die if it means he's able to probably save his own self. So let's dive into that nature. Now, I'm not saying that Rudy is, like, evil. I'm not, because this episode definitely proves against that. But I'm not saying that Rudy is good either. He is definitely not a good person, but he's definitely not outright evil either. He's definitely a neutral, a morally gray character that is able to make you question what side is he really on. And it's kind of like a lot of our characters. A lot of our characters are actually gray. They're not evil, they're not good, and that's how I feel about Rudy at this point, is that when you look at his circumstance and how he was willing to allow the smuggler to just grab all the beast children, take them off to potentially just go sell them, Rudy was like, I I'm not going to risk my life for people I don't really know. That's what he says in his own internal monologue. And he's like, why would I do this? Why would I do that? I don't want to, because I'm not that heroic. I'm not that courageous. I'm not that good of a person to be like Rui is, to just, go and take out evil. And even though in that moment, it definitely, Rudy did eventually save the day and become the hero of the situation, if things would have been slightly different and like the sacred beast, like the dog, didn't appear, I feel like Rudy would have allowed the smuggler just to walk off and do whatever he did, which I really wonder, like, what would have happened if Rudy wouldn't have actually done anything. What would have happened with the Beast Tribe? What would have happened with his group dead end and all that? There's a lot of questions I have. But the big subject of discussion of that moment is that Rudy, he was willing to let people die or be thrown into slavery because he didn't want to risk his own life. And he knows the consequences of death. He's died already. So obviously anyone in that situation, he would probably fear death. I mean, yeah, he may have been reincarnated, but what's to say he has that option once again once he dies? So he also has to probably think about that as well. Even if we didn't get to see an internal monologue about that dialogue, he probably has at least thought about that. It's like, I may have gotten a chance to be reborn in this world, but what's to say if I die, it's just not lights out, it's over, I'm done. That's what he could feel like. And so I like Rudy's character. I love what this second half of Mushoku Tensei has done. It's dived a little bit deeper into his character and kind of what he will do and what he will not do. And I wonder if we're going to get more situations like this in the upcoming future where Rudy is separated from the group, because that, I feel like, will lead to a lot of growth within his character. Because let's be honest, when he is around Eris and he's around Rui, he is safeguarded from evil, doing acts of evil. Think about that. He always has others to do the despicable or the evil stuff, like killing or shutting someone's lights out for good or whatever, but he is never the one that has to do it. And I feel like if he is separated from Dead End, like, for a long time, he will have to do things that he normally would never do, and it would force him to go down a path of growth. I'm curious about that, and if the writer will eventually do that for his character. But, let's talk about the actual overall fight and the sequence of that with, the smuggler. I feel like the Northern God style, or however you pronounce it, that entire fighting style is just ridiculously powerful, just getting to see it in action. It's crazy that Rudy was able to win in the end, but it's just like, my goodness, like, the fighting style. Rudy could have died. Like, it was so easy for him to die. If he didn't have some backup from the monkey man to, the dog and all that, he would have died. It puts in perspective, no matter how strong Rudy is, in terms of being able to use magic and having the eyesight with his new demon eye to be able to see somewhat into the future, it doesn't mean he is instantly overpowered. I do like that element, because that's a big problem that people were probably having with this season, is that Rudy getting that demon eye probably instantly made him OP, and that there was not going to be any obstacle, no challenge, no threat at all in the future. But obviously that's going to still be the case. There is going to be threat coming because Rudy is not all-powerful, and even though he did win in this episode, he didn't win it easily. I mean, he took a huge wound in the leg, and on top of that, he could have easily been defeated if the smuggler was a little bit more confident, a little bit stronger. Rudy wouldn't have been able to do anything whatsoever. So yeah, it's overall a good episode. I love this episode of Mushoku Tensei, and there's a lot of life, a lot of love, a lot of immersion, a lot of character development and characterization, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. And once again, I do hope the character that we are introduced to in this episode carries over. And I wonder if the Sacred Beast also will join Rudy, because that entire sequence, like that shot with Rudy and the Sacred Beast behind him, I was like, yo, this fits perfectly. And I hope that maybe in the future, Rudy, has, like, some form of beast to be able to back him up when he's in the middle of a fight, like a familiar or something. But okay, I want to leave it at that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.